Ladies and gentlemen, life, let me tell you, life is not a straight line. It's not a smooth path. There's no handbook, no manual that tells you how to walk through it. There's no map, no GPS telling you, turn left here, turn right there. It's messy. And if you're looking for comfort, let me tell you right now, you won't find it. Not in the real world, the world that actually matters. Because the thing is, if you want something, if you want to make an impact, if you want to live the kind of life that's not just ordinary, if you want to build a story that stands out, then you better get ready to risk it all. You've got to risk it. Because there's no story without risk. Think about it. Every person you admire, every person who's done something great, whether it's in the arts, sports, business, or just life, they took risks. They stepped out when no one thought they could do it. They did what other people were too scared to do. They didn't wait for things to be perfect. They didn't wait for the world to hand them what they wanted. They went out there and took it. They created something. Let me ask you, what's the story of your life going to be? A life of what ifs. A life where you let fear take control. A life where you sit on the sidelines watching everyone else go after their dreams, wondering, what if I had just taken that chance? I'm here to tell you, no, that's not the way to live. That's not the way you were built. You were built for more than that. But you've got to believe that. You've got to take the first step. And the first step ain't easy. Oh no, you see, it's easy to say, I'll wait till the time is right. It's easy to say, I'll wait for the perfect moment, but that perfect moment never comes. You want to know why? Because there is no perfect moment. There's only right now. And right now is when you take that first step. Right now is when you make the decision that you're going to risk it all. There's a saying, no risk, no reward, but here's the truth. The reward, the success, the greatness, that's just the cherry on top. The real reward is who you become in the process. The real reward is the growth. The real reward is the lessons you learn when you step into the unknown and push past your limits. And let me tell you, the lessons you learn when you risk it, when you go after your dreams, are the ones that shape you into something greater than you ever thought you could be. See, it's not about getting to the top. It's about who you become on the way up. And let me tell you, it's going to be hard. Oh, you better believe it's going to be hard. But nothing worth having ever comes easy. So if you think it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to fight through the struggles, fight through the failures, then you're going to see something beautiful on the other side. You'll see what you're truly capable of. And understand this failure is not the end. Failure is part of the process. Failure is the lesson. If you're afraid of failure, if you're afraid of making mistakes, then you might as well quit right now because failure is coming for you. It's coming whether you like it or not. But the key is to embrace it, welcome it, use it, learn from it. Don't be afraid to fall because that's where the growth happens. That's where the story happens. You can't win every time, but you can always get better. Now, listen closely. I'm not saying you should be reckless. I'm not saying you should just jump into everything with your eyes closed. No, 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 no. There's wisdom in taking risks, but there's also wisdom in knowing when to take them. You've got to know your value. You've got to know your worth. When you take a risk, you don't just throw everything out there blindly. You take that step of faith in yourself. You do your homework, you do the work, and then you step out and you take the chance. And let me tell you, when you take that risk, when you put yourself out there are going to be people who don't understand. There are going to be people who doubt you. People who say, why are you doing this? You're crazy. You're not ready for this. They'll say it to your face. They'll whisper behind your back. But you've got to look them in the eye and keep walking. Keep moving forward. Because they don't know you. They don't know the fire that's burning inside of you. They don't know your vision. They don't know your purpose. And that's fine. You don't need their approval. You just need to stay focused and keep pushing. The only approval you need is your own. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who's got to look at yourself in the mirror. You're the one who's got to live with your decisions. And let me tell you, when you go after what you want, when you take those risks, when you make things happen, you'll be proud of yourself. You'll look in the mirror and say, I did that. I took that step. I went for it. And even if I stumbled, even if I fell, I learned, I grew, and I got back up. That's what it's all about. Getting back up. Life's going to hit you. People are going to talk. You're going to face obstacles. But you've got to have the strength to rise. You've got to have the courage to push forward. That's where the greatness is. Look at the people you admire. Look at the people who've made history. Do you think they got there without risking something? Do you think they got there without stepping into the unknown? No. Every single one of them had to make a choice. A choice to risk it all. A choice to step out of their comfort zone. A choice to believe in themselves when no one else did. And I'm telling you, that same choice is sitting right in front of you, right now. The choice to go after your dreams, the choice to take the risks, the choice to live a life that's not safe, that's not easy, but that's full of purpose. A life where every day you get up and feel like you're doing something that matters. Something that means something. That's the kind of life you deserve. But you've got to take that first step. So let me say it again, no risk, no story, no risk, no greatness, no risk, no future. If you want a story that's worth telling, you've got to risk it. If you want to live a life that's worth living, you've got to step out. Step up and take that risk, because without it, you'll be stuck in the same place, doing the same thing, living a life that's not your own. To build a meaningful life and achieve greatness, you must take risks. Without risk, there's no story, no growth, and no real success. Stepping out of your comfort zone is essential to living a life that stands out. Failure isn't the end, it's a lesson. Don't fear making mistakes, because they are the stepping stones to improvement. Embrace failure, learn from it, and keep moving forward with resilience. There will always be doubters and critics. The key is to trust in yourself and your vision, despite what others might say. You don't need their approval to chase your dreams. You just need to stay focused on your purpose. The true value of taking risks is the personal growth you experience along the way. It's not just about reaching the top, but about who you become through the struggle and the journey toward your goals. Life, as you know, is not a safe place. It's not a smooth, straight road paved with comfort and predictability. If that's what you think it is, you're in for a wake-up call. The truth is, life challenges us all in ways we can't predict. We walk into unknowns, we encounter obstacles, and we deal with hardships. It's what we do with those moments that makes the difference. It's how we handle the uncertainty, how we face the unknown that shapes who we are and the life we live. And that's where risk comes in. Risk is not just a choice, it's the foundation of any meaningful life, the thing that transforms your dreams into something real, tangible. If you're waiting for the right moment, the perfect situation where everything aligns and the risk feels manageable, I'm here to tell you that moment doesn't exist. You'll wait forever, and in the end, you'll have nothing to show for it. The truth is, there's no such thing as a guaranteed safe bet. Every success you see, every person you admire, every story of achievement has one thing in common: they all involve risk. You can't just play it safe your whole life and expect to create something worth remembering. You've got to step out of the comfort zone. You've got to take chances. You've got to bet on yourself, even when no one else does. I know it's scary, it's terrifying. But what's more terrifying is living a life where you never take that step. What's more terrifying is standing at the end of your life, looking back and realizing you never took that risk because you were too afraid. Afraid of failing. Afraid of looking foolish. Afraid of not being good enough. But let me tell you, that fear is normal. It's part of the journey. The people who you think have it all together, they've been afraid too. They've had moments where they didn't know if they could pull it off. They've had doubts. But here's the thing, they kept going anyway. They kept moving forward. And that's why they have stories to tell. That's why they've achieved things that matter. You want to make an impact? You want to live a life that's worth telling stories about? Then you've got to take risks. Every great story involves overcoming something. Every great story involves stepping out into the unknown, facing your fears, and fighting through the struggle. That's where the real transformation happens. That's where the magic is. And you can't skip over that part. You can't bypass the struggle. You can't bypass the hard times. Because those are the times when you learn, when you grow, when you discover what you're truly capable of. And that's the story you want to tell. The risk isn't always about jumping into the unknown without a plan. It's not always about being reckless or blind. No, the best kind of risk comes from knowing what's at stake and still moving forward. It's about being prepared, having faith in yourself, and trusting that you're going to figure things out along the way. You're not supposed to have all the answers right now. You're not supposed to know everything. But you are supposed to make that decision, to make that choice, and to go after what you want, no matter what. Because here's the reality: when you're too afraid to take that first step, when you let fear paralyze you, you're not just missing out on the opportunity, you're missing out on becoming who you were meant to be. You're missing out on the person who can handle that challenge, who can rise above that fear, and who can push through and come out on the other side stronger. Because the person you are today, the person who's afraid to take risks, that's not the person who's going to change the world. The person who changes the world, the person who creates something extraordinary, is the one who risks it all, the one who steps into the uncertainty, the one who looks fear in the face and says, I'm still going. Look at all the great figures throughout history, whether it's in sports, entertainment, business, or anything else. Every single one of them had to take risks. Every single one of them had to face moments of doubt, moments when they didn't know if they could pull it off. And you know what? They still did it. They stepped into the unknown and took the leap. And that's what set them apart. That's what turned them into legends. Risk isn't about being lucky. It's about having the courage to put yourself out there, even when you don't know how things are going to turn out. Because here's the thing you need to understand: you don't get to decide how your story will end. No one does. But you do get to decide how you'll live it. You get to decide whether you're going to sit on the sidelines playing it safe, never stepping out, or whether you're going to get into the game and make something happen. You get to decide whether you're going to take the risk and make your own story, or whether you're going to let life happen to you passively, never taking control. But let me tell you, if you choose the second option, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. You'll never see your true potential. And you'll never experience the kind of satisfaction that comes from knowing you gave it everything you had. Now, I'm not telling you to jump into things without thinking. No. There's wisdom in preparation. There's wisdom in making sure you're ready for what's coming. But the risk, the leap, is still required. You've got to take it. Because you can prepare for years, but if you're always waiting for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting forever. There's never going to be a perfect time. The perfect time is right now. The perfect time is when you decide you're ready, when you decide to make that first step, when you decide you're going to stop waiting and start doing. Think about it. Think about all the opportunities you've missed because you were too scared to take the leap. Think about all the things you could have done, the things you could have learned, the people you could have met, if you had just stepped out. But you didn't. You held back. You waited. And now you're left with nothing but what if. You don't want that. You don't want to look back and say, what if I had taken that risk? What if I had just stepped out and gone for it? No. You want to look back and say, I did that. I took that chance. I risked it. And even if I failed, even if it didn't work out the way I wanted, I know I gave it my all. I know I stepped into the unknown and gave everything I had. And that's something I can be proud of. So embrace the risk. Embrace the uncertainty. Step into the unknown. Step into the places where you don't have all the answers, where you don't know how it's going to turn out. That's where you'll grow. That's where you'll find your purpose. And that's where your real story begins. Because, my friend, no risk, no story. If you're not willing to take the leap, you're not going to find what you're looking for. You're not going to build the kind of life that will leave a legacy. It's only when you step out and risk everything that you'll find the greatness that's been waiting for you all along. Failure is not something to fear. It's not something to avoid or run from. If you're going to be successful, if you're going to accomplish anything worth having, then you need to understand one thing: failure is part of the journey. It's not a roadblock. It's not the end of the road. It's part of the process, part of what shapes you and molds you into the person you need to become in order to achieve greatness. We've all heard the stories of people who made it, people who succeeded in ways we can only dream of. We look at their success and think it came easy for them, that they never faced setbacks, that they somehow bypassed the hard parts. But if you dig deeper, if you take a closer look at their journey, you'll realize something important. They didn't avoid failure. They didn't stay in the comfort of safety and security. No, they embraced failure. They accepted it as a natural part of their journey. And that's what made them who they are. Success is not built on perfection. It's not built on a smooth, uninterrupted path. Success is built on the countless failures along the way. It's built on the lessons learned, the mistakes made, and the way we bounce back stronger every time we fall. When you fall, you don't stay down. You rise again. And each time you rise, you are stronger. You are better. You are more equipped for the challenges ahead. But that only happens if you accept failure as a stepping stone, as part of your growth. Think about it. If you've never failed, if you've never faced a setback, then you've probably never stretched yourself beyond your limits. You've probably never really pushed yourself to the point where you had to fight. It's when you reach your limits, when you go beyond what you thought was possible, that you fail. But that's where the magic is. That's where the growth happens. That's where you find out what you're really made of. Failure is the greatest teacher you'll ever have. It teaches you resilience, patience, and perseverance. It teaches you to get back up, to keep moving forward, even when things aren't going your way. You learn more from failing than you do from succeeding. Every time you fail, you learn something new about yourself. You learn how to handle adversity. You learn how to deal with disappointment. And when you get through it, when you come out the other side, you are a stronger person for it. But the key is how you handle failure. It's not about avoiding it. It's not about hiding from it or pretending it didn't happen. It's about looking it in the eye, acknowledging it, and saying, I'm going to keep going. That's where real growth happens. You can't grow without failure. You can't achieve anything significant without facing setbacks. If you want to be great, you have to be willing to fail. And when you do fail, you have to be willing to get back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. The truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. It's an integral part of the process. Without failure, you don't learn. Without failure, you don't grow. Without failure, you don't become the person you need to be to reach the next level. So you have to embrace failure not as something to fear, but as something to welcome. It's like the fuel that drives you to do better, to be better. It's like the lesson that prepares you for success. Look at all the greats. Look at the people who've achieved incredible things in life. They didn't get there by avoiding failure. They got there by embracing it, by learning from it, and by using it as motivation to keep going. Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Think about that for a second. The best player in the history of the game was told he wasn't good enough. But instead of quitting, instead of letting that failure define him, he used it as fuel. He worked harder. He didn't just accept failure, he learned from it, and he got better because of it. He kept failing and he kept winning. It's hard to face the fact that you didn't succeed, that you fell short, that you were defeated, but that's all part of it. That's the part of the process that you can't skip. The pain is part of the lesson that teaches you humility. It teaches you that success isn't easy, that it's earned, not given. It teaches you that you are not invincible, that you are human, and that you've got to keep pushing no matter what. The pain is temporary, but the lessons are forever. And the lessons are what prepare you for the next challenge, the next step. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going your way. It's easy to give up when you face failure after failure, but that's exactly what you can't do. The most successful people, the most powerful people are the ones who failed the most. They've fallen, they've stumbled, they faced adversity, but they didn't quit. They didn't let failure stop them. They kept moving forward. They kept pushing through. And that's what made them great. And here's the kicker: when you fail, when you hit rock bottom, when you're down, that's when you discover who you really are. That's when you discover your strength, your resilience, your ability to get back up and keep going. You find out what you're truly made of when you face adversity. You find out who you really are when you're on the edge, when you're at your lowest point, and you have to decide whether to quit or keep fighting. And when you choose to keep fighting, when you choose to get back up, that's when you realize that failure isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. Because you know what? The greatest victory is not in never failing, it's in rising after every fall. The greatest triumph is in knowing that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you will get back up. You will keep going. You will never give up. That's the attitude you need if you want to achieve anything in this life. You need the mentality that failure is just another step on the journey. It's just another challenge to face. And you will face it head on with everything you've got. Because that's the way to success. That's the way to greatness. So embrace failure. Don't run from it. Don't avoid it. Don't let it scare you. Let it teach you. Let it build you. And let it make you stronger. Because failure is not the end. It's just the beginning. It's just part of the process. And if you learn to embrace it, if you learn to rise every time you fall, you'll be unstoppable. There are always going to be voices of doubt, voices of negativity, voices of criticism. Sometimes these voices will come from people you care about. They will come from people who don't believe in your vision, who don't see the potential in what you're doing. And they will tell you that it's not possible. They'll tell you that your dreams are too big, that what you're trying to achieve is out of reach. And when that happens, you have a choice. You can either listen to those voices and let them control your fate, or you can choose to trust yourself. You can choose to trust your vision, your purpose, your passion. The choice is yours. You see, trusting yourself is one of the most powerful things you can do in life. When everyone else around you is telling you to be realistic, to play it safe, to lower your expectations, you have to remember one thing: they're not living your life. They don't know your dreams, your vision, and your capacity for greatness. They don't know what you're capable of achieving when you put everything on the line and believe in yourself. And when you start to listen to those doubts, when you let the negativity of others infiltrate your mind, that's when you lose sight of who you are and what you're capable of. The reality is nobody has your vision, nobody has your story. Nobody has the specific experiences and talents that you bring to the table. So when someone tells you it can't be done, when they tell you that you're wasting your time, that's their truth, not yours. Their doubts are based on their own limitations, their own fears, their own beliefs about what's possible. But those beliefs aren't yours. And if you're not careful, if you start listening to those doubts and letting them shape your actions, you'll find yourself living a life based on someone else's limitations, not your own potential. People are going to doubt you. It's just the way it is. There will always be naysayers who want to drag you down, who want to make you question your choices. And that's when you have to make the conscious decision to block out those voices and trust your own. You have to trust in your own ability to figure things out, your own determination, your own vision. Trust that you know what's best for you, that you understand what it will take to get there, even if others can't see it. If you've got a dream, a goal, a mission, don't let someone else's doubts derail your path. Your journey is your own, and you're the only one who can decide whether or not you'll get there. It's easy to get caught up in the opinions of others. We live in a world where everyone feels like they have something to say about what you should or shouldn't do. And in some ways, that's natural. People care about you. They want to protect you. They want you to be successful. And sometimes their doubts come from a place of love. But it doesn't matter where those doubts come from. What matters is how you respond. Do you let them shape your decisions? Do you let their opinions steer you off course? Or do you stand firm in your belief in yourself and your abilities? Trusting yourself isn't about arrogance. It's not about thinking you know everything. It's about believing in your potential. It's about knowing that no matter how tough the road gets, you've got what it takes to make it through. It's about having faith in the process, in the journey, even when the end result isn't clear. There's going to be uncertainty, there's going to be fear, and there's going to be discomfort. But you have to trust that you're strong enough to handle it, that you can adapt, that you can learn, and that you will come out on the other side better than you were before. We live in a world that glorifies success. It's all around us on social media, on TV and magazines and conversations. Success is the goal, the thing that everyone chases after, the destination that we all want to reach. But what if I told you that the real reward isn't success itself? What if the most important thing is not the outcome, but the growth you experience on the journey? What if the process of becoming, of evolving, and of learning is what really matters most? The truth is, success may feel good in the moment, but it's the growth you experience while pursuing it that shapes who you are and prepares you for the future. See, the thing about success is that it's often a fleeting moment. It's something you achieve and then it's over. But growth lasts forever. Growth is the thing that carries you through life, the thing that continues to serve you long after you've reached whatever milestone or achievement you were after. Growth is not just a result, it's a process, a continuous journey that builds you into the person you need to be to handle the challenges of life. And this is where so many people get it wrong. They focus solely on the goal, on the end result, without appreciating the lessons learned along the way. They think that success will solve everything, that it will give them all the happiness, the fulfillment, and the meaning they've been looking for. But they miss the fact that true fulfillment comes from the evolution of the person you become through the pursuit of that success. When you focus solely on success, you risk missing out on the most important part of your journey, who you become in the process. Success may bring you recognition, fame, wealth, or status, but none of those things are lasting. None of those things are fulfilling in the way that growth is. You see, growth transforms you. It helps you discover your strengths, your weaknesses, your limits, and your potential. It challenges you to become better, stronger, wiser. And those things, the wisdom, the character, the resilience, the humility, are the things that stay with you long after the applause dies down. They're the things that shape the kind of person you are, the kind of life you live, and the way you interact with others. Imagine this: you've achieved all your dreams. You've reached the top. You've gotten the recognition. You've got everything you've ever wanted. But when you get there, you realize something profound. The success doesn't feel as good as you thought it would. In fact, it feels kind of empty. You feel a sense of accomplishment, sure, but it's not as fulfilling as you thought it would be. That's because success in and of itself is just a moment. It's a fleeting thing. It's the growth you experience on the way to success that gives you the depth, the strength, and the understanding to truly appreciate what you've achieved. The real reward is the lessons learned from failure, from hardship, from persistence. It's the resilience you build as you face setbacks, the mental toughness you develop when you have to keep going, even when you don't feel like it, the confidence you gain when you see just how far you've come despite the obstacles. Every challenge you face, every hardship you endure, every failure you overcome is a stepping stone to becoming a better version of yourself. And that's where the true reward lies, not in the accolades or the applause, but in the person you become through it all. Think about some of the most successful people in history, the ones who have really changed the world. It's not just their success that stands out, it's the growth they underwent to get there. They had to face rejection, failure, and obstacles that would have made most people quit. But they didn't. They grew. They evolved. And that's what made their success meaningful. Their success wasn't the end, it was just a reflection of the growth they'd experienced along the way. Growth is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that can be measured in one moment of success. It happens over time, through consistent effort, through embracing challenges, and through pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. It's about evolving into someone who's capable of handling whatever life throws your way. And it's about understanding that the process of becoming is just as important, if not more important, than the destination. When you're focused on growth, you understand that setbacks aren't failures, they're lessons. You understand that mistakes aren't something to be ashamed of. They're opportunities to learn and improve. You understand that progress isn't linear, and that there will be times when you take one step forward and two steps back. But through it all, you keep moving, you keep growing, you keep growing, you keep learning, and that's what gives life meaning. That's what gives your achievements depth. There's an old saying that goes, success is not the key to happiness, happiness is the key to success. And while that sounds nice, the real truth is deeper than that. Happiness isn't the key to success, but growth is. When you focus on growth, you find fulfillment in the process. You find satisfaction in becoming better, stronger, more resilient, and more capable. The happiness that comes from growth is a lasting happiness of fulfillment that comes from knowing that you are constantly evolving, constantly learning, and constantly pushing yourself to become the best version of yourself. True success, the kind that brings lasting satisfaction and meaning, is the result of constant growth. It's the result of being willing to fail, to stumble, to fall, and to get back up again. It's the result of being willing to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to face challenges with a mindset of growth rather than fear of failure. It's about being willing to put in the work, to embrace the struggle, and to learn from every experience, no matter how difficult. The journey of growth is never easy. It's full of challenges, full of doubts, full of moments where you question whether it's all worth it. But those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when you discover what you're really made of. And when you come out on the other side, when you look back on everything you've been through, that's when you realize that the success wasn't the reward at all. The reward was in who you became during the process, the person you evolved into through the struggles, the perseverance, and the lessons learned along the way. Don't get me wrong, success is important. But it's not the only thing that matters. It's not the end-all, be-all. The real reward, the one that lasts, is the growth that happens on the way to success. It's the person you become as you chase your dreams, as you pursue your passions, as you face the obstacles that life throws at you. That's where the real value is. That's where the real fulfillment comes from. And when you realize that, when you understand that growth is the real reward, you'll approach life differently. You'll approach every challenge with a mindset of learning, of evolving, and of becoming better. Because in the end, it's not the success that defines you, it's the growth. And that growth, that constant evolution, is what will lead to even greater success.